Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayera. It says in the Pasuk that Avram Avinu was sitting Pesach ha'ohel k'chaim hayom. He was sitting on his porch, the door of his tent, in the heat of the day. It was very hot. He was sitting on his porch. Why was he sitting on his porch? Why was he sitting in the door of the tent? Rashi says, Lirais im yesh oiver v'shov, to see if there are any passerbys passing or returning, passing and returning, v'yachnisein bebeisai, and he should bring them into his house. Maybe he could do chesed with them. Maybe he could give them something to eat. That's this simple. The Chassidic Torah say he was sitting there to see im yesh oiver v'shov, for shov. If oiver means an avarian, a sinner, for shov, that he could make him, that he could help him do tshuva, that's why he was sitting there. So we have to learn from the simple and from the Chassidic Torah that we have to be aggressively looking to help people, to see if there are any passerbys to bring into his house to do chesed. And also from the Chassidic Torah, if you see a transgressor, oiver, he's an avarian, a sinner, if you could help him to do tshuva, that's another reason to seek people out, to help them do tshuva. We should be zeicha to help people do tshuva. Continuing with Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayera. So it says in the Torah that three people, as he was sitting on his porch, there were three people walking by, and Vayoratz lekrosam mipesach ha'ohel. He ran out toward them from the door of the tent. That's the simple. The Chassidic Torah say he was so eager to do chesed, to help them, that usually people start running. If they're running, they first walk out of the house and they started to run, and then they run. But here it says in the Torah, Vayorotz lekrosam mipesach ha'ohel, from the opening, from the door of the tent, he was still inside, and he was already running to do zrizos and to do chesed, to help somebody. We should be zeicha to have his zeal and zrizos to do a mitzvah. Continuing with Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayera. It says in the Torah, he ran toward the three people, and the Gemara, Rashi brings down a Gemara that explains that when they saw him, tahavi shori v'osar, when they saw him unbinding his bandages and binding his bandages, porshu heimenu, they separated from him. They didn't want to burden him. They saw that he was not well. He was just Yom Shlishi L'Milosa. It was the third day of his circumcision, and he was unbinding and binding the bandages. So they started to separate from him, to depart from him. So immediately, while being sick, while changing his bandages, he immediately, Vayoretz lekrosam, he ran toward them. That's the way the Gemara explains this pasuk, and Rashi brings it down. That's the simple. The Chassidic Torah say like this: what does it mean to have a shori for osa, which the simple meaning was unbinding, untying, the osar and tying, going on the bandages? The Chassidic Torah are learning that shori means permit, the osa means forbid, that he was such a Porush, he was such a tzaddik, Avram Avinu, that things that were permissible he was machmir, he was strict, and he forbade them. So they learned from him precious. They learned from him how to be a tzaddik. Parshu heimenu, they learned from him what it means to be a tzaddik. We should be zeicha to have such levels. Amen. Okay. Continuing with Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayera, so Avram Avinu ran toward the three people that were going by him, and he said, don't go away, come to my house. Yukach no ma'at mayim, let be fetched, take a little bit water, v'rachetzu raglechem, and wash your feet. That's the simple. The Chassidic Terlach translate raglechem to mean, instead of your feet, your hergelim, your habits, your bad habits. Wash them out. Wash out and get rid of your bad habits. And how do you do it? With mayim. Yukach no mat mayim. Mayim is Torah. Ein mayim ela Torah. With Torah, by learning Torah, you can break your bad habits and do things that are correct. Amen, Abi Amen. We should be zeicha. Amen. Continuing with Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayera, Avram Avinu is looking to be able to have food for his guests, and it says in the Torah, "Ve'ekcha paslechem," I will take some bread, "V'sadu libchem," and you will satiate your hearts. And Rashi explains, how do you satiate one's heart? What does one have to eat to satiate his own heart? And Rashi says, "B'Torah, b'Neviim, u'v'aksuvim," throughout the Torah and all the writings of the Torah, we find the pita sa'adata deliba, that bread satiates the heart. And he brings proof from Torah, from Nevi'im, from Ksuvim. That's the simple. The Chassidic Torah put a period in Rashi. Satiate your hearts b'Torah, b'Nevi'im, u'v'aksuvim. Satiate the real food, mozayin hanefesh, the real food for the person, for the Jew, is Torah, Nevi'im, u'Ksuvim, period. That's the way you satiate your heart with mozayin ruchni. We should realize this and learn Torah, and in that zchus we will satiate our souls and our hearts. Amen. Continuing with Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayera, it says in the pasuk that they were hastening Lot, the angels were hastening Lot to leave. Vayismahamo, it says in the Torah, he lingered on. He wasn't coming so quickly. They had to take him by his hands and pull him out. But it says Vayismahamo, he lingered. That's the simple. The Chassidic Torah is saying the trop on Vayismahamo is a shalsheles. Vayismahamo 3 times. What's that all about? Why is there a shalsheles on the word he lingered? And the Chassidic Torah tell us that the trop on Vayismahamo is indicating to us shalsheles means a chain, because he lingered on. Rashi says kedei lahatziles mamoinai, in order to save his wealth. He was trying to gather together his wealth before he left. And the trop on Vayismahamo is shalsheles, to tell us that the wealth meant so much to him. he had such a taivas hamomon, such a temptation for money, that he was chained. It was like he was chained to his money, and it meant so much to him. And that's not what we should think of ourselves. Money is good to give tzedakah, to support us, but to have a taivas hamomon is not the right thing from a yid. We should be zeicha to this.